I've been trying on and off for the past few weeks to make a new 2.5 compatible, super easy melee horde base for new players since my last one has been nerfed considerably by 2.5, so we've changed the design a little bit and it's actually better and cheaper. Let's jump into how to make it. Alright, so to build this base, you're really only going to need a door, any number of wooden frames to help you just navigate building it, and you're going to need about 300 cobblestone blocks. You'll see exactly how many it takes when I'm done building it, but it does take just under 300. I have 500 on me, but you won't need that many. So the first thing you want to do is just find a flat area like this. This looks pretty good, and we want to place down 5 cobblestone blocks. Then you want to go for 4 more here. This gives you 5 by 5, and you just want to fill this all in so that you've got a 5 by 5 filled in square. Pretty simple. Next, you want to build that up so that it is 6 tall, including the one you just placed, so 5 additional layers. Ignore this one block I placed here, that was a mistake. That is obviously one of the problems you run by placing the blocks the way I'm doing it. Feel free to go through all the work of building from like wooden frames all the way up to cobblestone. The reason I do just cobblestone blocks is because if you want to do wood through cobblestone, you're going to have to gather up, let's say 3,000 wood and 3,000 cobblestone, or you can just skip to the cobblestone and skip the wood, and you'll save a lot of time and resources on that. But if you want the XP for building this, then sure, you can just use frames perfectly fine. You don't have to copy that precisely. I have miscounted, this is only 5 tall, so let's add another layer. There we go. Right, step 2. This part is also fairly simple. You want to pick the direction you want to have your bridge and the direction you want to have your back door. For your back door, just place something like that, and for your bridge, just place something like that. That'll orient you, so this is the front of the base, and this is the back of the base. Then we want to just fill in all of this, like so that we have a shape like that built on top of the base. Next, you're going to want to make this all just 4 tall, including the one you already placed, so 3 additional layers. There we go, it's 4 tall. Then you're going to want to place 2 here, and then fill this in 2 blocks as well, and then place your door on your back there. So we've used about 200 blocks so far, and most of the base is actually done. Let's move on to step 3. For this step, you will of course want to go out of the base. So to do that, come out to your back here and place a frame like that, and then get a ladder of any kind. Place that down, do this, do this. Feel free to build yourself a ladder up as you go if you're a little bit scared of doing it like that. You can jump up on here like that if the terrain's favorable. If it's not favorable, just chuck down a couple of frames like this, and then you can jump onto it. In fact, I would even recommend that and take this out so you can jump onto there. That'll just make sure no zombies are going to get on that ladder, but you should be fine either way. Yeah, and you don't need to reinforce your ladder. It's not doing any defense or anything. It's probably better that it's weaker, so if something goes wrong, you can take it out quickly. So let's come around to the front of the base. We want to take our cobblestone blocks, line this up with the center block of the bridge at the bottom of your fighting position here, and just come out as many blocks as it takes until you start seeing it go yellow. Now, when you see red, do not place another block. Line yourself up down here so that you're just on the line with it, and make sure you're here. Place this and build a nice little pillar up. Well, that's mildly annoying. If that happens, just pillar up again with your wooden frames and do that. And try not to hit your head on the bridge like I did. So that's going to give you the biggest bridge possible with cobblestone, which is what we want. If that's annoying for you to do it that way and you're scared of it accidentally breaking, go out 12 blocks and then build your pillar. But doing it the way I did is a little bit more freeform. So then we want a staircase. So just do a little bit of this. Oh, we misplaced a block again. Just destroy that. And gradually bring it down like this, 1 block every time, and then switch yourself over to stairs and fill in stairs to make a staircase. Here we go. As an added little bit, you might want to do something like this on each side, and then get yourself some stair corners here and here, and then do the same on the other side. This just slightly helps the zombies figure out their way onto here. It's not the most necessary thing, but it is pretty useful. So that's step 3, your staircase and bridge. Let's do basically the final step, the fighting position. So for this, we want to start off with some scaffolding ladders. Rotate them so they're like this. If you're on PC, by the way, you rotate with R, but you can also rotate with your left mouse button in the other direction. So if you're like, oh, I just had it, you just do that. I'm sure there's an equivalent on console, I just don't know it. Place the across there, you want to go into here and get pole double. Now you'll see nothing comes up, and I've seen this on previous videos, people are like, there's no such thing as a pole double. When you get to this stage, go ahead and click this button here. This will take you out of the basic view, and it will show you the full menu of options, and then you can search for the pole double. So for this one, we want to hold our rotate button, whatever it is, go to advanced, and just rotate it until it does this. You want it to be on the inside of your base first of all, and then let's head back around to the front to do the other side. So for here we want to go like that in front of the scaffolding ladder, and then double up your layer of more pole double. So that's your fighting position, but it's not complete if you don't add in something here, because the zombies will just climb over and try and break the top block. So you need to add a little bit of extra padding here. What we want for that is to search for wedge and get yourself a wedge 60 tip. Rotate it so it's like this. Place those there. Place yourself some wedge 60s as well. Do the same thing there. And the reason we do this is, one, we have an extra bit of armor for the forehead of our base, meaning the zombies don't just try and break over it, but also if the zombies pile up on top of each other, they won't be able to climb onto the roof of the base because this is blocking them. So that'll be very, very helpful. And then the last aspect of your fighting position here, you can do this in a number of ways. You can just fill this in with blocks if you want, and then just put spikes on the roof. I personally prefer to see what's going on the roof in case zombie vultures are attacking me, and I like to just shoot up and not have to use spike traps. So you want to just place, that's incredibly annoying. Anyway, as I was saying, you want to just place 9 of these in here. If you want, and it's generally a pretty good idea just in case your base kind of fails, you can also add in a ladder here, and then put a hatch on top of this, which I'm going to have to spawn in because I didn't think of that when I was actually doing this part. But yeah, just throw that on there, and then you can come onto the roof if you need to. If you need to do some repairs on this in the middle of Horde night, you can. I've already done the Horde base tests for this, by the way, so the one you're going to see is not going to have that, but that is a very smart upgrade you can add onto your base there. This is literally it. It's a very, very simple base. You can see even with the misplaced blocks, I used less than 300 cobblestone because we had 500 and we have 221 left, so I specifically used 279 cobblestone blocks, keeping in mind that a few of them were just completely misplaced and I just destroyed them. So yeah, I've just added some paint to this base, by the way, because cobblestone looks really bad in thumbnails. Like, it gets really grainy and compressed in YouTube thumbnails, so I've painted it to look a little bit better. But I forgot I haven't done the section where I explain how to use the base for you, so let's do that now. Alright, so the basic idea is zombies are going to come running up this staircase and then come and attack you here. Your number one focus for a base like this is going to be damage output and repairs. More than anything, you should make sure you've got some spare cobblestone and a repair tool of some kind, and make sure you keep repairing, in particular, these central blocks here, because the zombies are going to have a hard time attacking these side ones. These are for you to have more field of view rather than the zombies actually attacking them. You want to make sure that the scaffolding ladder, this pole double, and both of these pole doubles, as well as the block above your head here and here, are repaired as much as possible. You will have to do it a lot, even for a day 7 horde, if you're using cobblestone. Cobblestone is very, very weak. If you're using wood, forget about it. It just won't work. Repairs are going to be a consistent part of making this base work throughout the night. That is the benefit of having a really cheap horde base, is you do have to do continuous repairs throughout the night. To add to that, you should really make sure if you're using this base that you actually have a good melee build. I'm running 4 ranks of Pummel Pete with 1 rank of Siphoning Strikes with the Batter Up book maxed out, because that's fairly realistic for what a build should have by the end of day 7. You can do that with sledgehammers, you can do that with spears, and with brawling you can use beer to make up for the fact that you don't get good stamina on kill. This is not a fantastic knife base, but it does work. If you're focused on ranged weapons, you should probably look up a specific ranged weapon base. Let me know if you guys want to see a base that is designed around ranged weapons. When you remove the restriction of it being a melee base, it's actually really easy to make a good ranged base, I think. I want all my bases for new players to be melee focused because you probably don't have a good gun by day 7 other than your pipe machine gun, especially if you're new. So make sure you're doing a good melee build if you're going to use a melee horde base. If it gets destroyed because you had no points in your melee weapon, why did you use a melee base, you know? Other than that, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. Just after Horde Night, there will be a couple of blocks missing from the base because zombies just love to attack the base of your base now. So just replace those before the next Horde Night. It should be relatively cheap and you should be good to go. So let me head over to the demonstration now so you can see how this style of base works. It's not this specific one, it's the original iteration of it. This one is the thumbnail variant. Got to remember to keep this all repaired or you're gonna die really quickly. Wrong weapon. So this footage is sped up because the gameplay is actually extremely simple and repetitive. You just stand in the middle of the base and swing your melee weapon at the zombies' heads. Every minute or two, you just repair the blocks back up to full health that they've been breaking, and you just repeat this for about 15 minutes until the horde ends. Make sure you're also repairing like the bridge, because that will allow them to not fall. Because if they break the bridge, basically you're screwed. They'll just attack your base. Yeah, shit, they broke one of the blocks. That's an issue. Still, it should hold. Like, it is built with a little bit of redundancy in mind, but it's still not great. Let's use a pipe bomb really quickly, because they are bunching up a lot there. That'll just give me some breathing room to do a bunch of repairs. Get out of here. Because we don't want to let that break. That would be bad. You know what? I'm just going to repair this and shoot them for a couple of seconds. Ow. Now I just want to point out here that, see this block that we've lost? There's nothing stopping you midway through Horde Night replacing that if you get like a breather. Like you 100% can do that. I'm just choosing not to out of the spirit of the challenge, right? Like you absolutely can do that. But let's just not, and just stick with regular repairs. Also, I'm using this section just to cover pipe bombs. Pipe bombs and grenades and stuff like that don't do a lot of block damage, so you can safely use them on your bases without blowing them up. You want to avoid though HE rockets, time charges, and dynamite, as they do high block damage. Oh, they broke the block just above this. I don't think that matters, but it's a weird thing that they never usually do, so I'm not sure why that's happened. So we might want to be more concerned about the upper area when you would normally be more concerned about the lower area in these spaces, but zombies gonna be weird sometimes. I've only used a couple of pipe bombs for this test because it's not realistic that a new player would have a full stack of like 20 of them on Horde Night, but you'll probably loot 1 or 2 pipe bombs or molotovs at least. No, they're almost getting through that top block there. I've never seen them focus on that top block before. Unusual. Also, this recording might sound like I'm unsure if the base will work, and that's actually just because you're seeing the raw recording of me in the testing phase. I built like 10 different bases trying to find the simplest one that lost the least amount of blocks and required the least amount of blocks, and this was the design I came up with in the end, and you're seeing me basically test it in real time, and the tutorial was made after the test. You know what would go crazy right now? Some skull crushers. It would just let me melt through them so much easier. But I wanted this to be as bare bones as possible. I really want to repair this. Just 1 more hour. Okay, we survived the night. Let me just finish off the rest of these zombies. Alright, so we've lost... Let's have a look-see here. Let me just copy this. 1 block, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 blocks plus this front 2 here, 9. But I wouldn't really count these 2 because you can just repair them as you go. That was user error that caused those ones. But these 7 down here, that's pretty promising. Only losing 7 blocks, especially on such a thick base, is actually pretty good, because it means underneath there you got a whole other layer of base that's working quite well. If we take a look at some of my other designs here, here's an earlier design I was working on. You can see it's pretty top heavy. This design lost closer to 15 blocks and it was really close to falling over. And it used more blocks than the one we just used there, which is over here. So yeah, this is a pretty solid base design for how simple it is and how easy to use it is. You just need to make sure you keep repairing these sections here. There's no spikes, there's no rage countering mechanics, there's really nothing but blocks, and it's only about 300 of them. I'd say that's a solid base for a new player. But things you should consider are that this base is not going to last forever in its cobblestone configuration. Your main priority should be getting this thing to concrete as soon as possible, and then steel pretty much as soon as possible. The thing about this kind of base is that really late into the game, it kind of doesn't hold up because it's not got enough redundancy. But what you can do is make a big base that has a bunch of these connected to it, and then disconnect them with doors, and then you can just switch between them as you need it. Or you can build this and sort of use it modularly. So for example, you could have this layer, and then you could have another layer here, and then another layer and another layer, and you could use your roof access here to go between them basically. So you have these little fighting pods connected to each other just for as many layers as you can get away with. At a certain point, the zombies will just not be able to path that far, but you can do it. And of course, really good obvious additions to the space are going to be things like an electric fence that runs the length of this bridge and really slows down the zombies, or several other electric fences dotted along each side of this that will stop them periodically. But I wanted this to be a completely analog horde base, just made out of cobblestone that could survive a day 7 horde. At game stage, I think I was game stage 42 at the time. I'm now a lower game stage because it's a different day, but yeah, game stage 42, this is very much rated for that pretty comfortably. By the way, if you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're making great progress, but if you haven't already, subscribe for more stuff like this. In fact, I'm going to be making a video in the next week where I try to build 3 horde bases with different time constraints and test them against increasingly difficult hordes. It's going to be a really good video, and that will be on screen right now for you to click when it's out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.